I think I've got the timing down now, Jessica. In case I have to sneeze or blow my nose during this sermon, I apologize in advance. The beautiful fall season is New Orleans's third allergy season. So, just bear with me. Exactly what is faith? As with many religious terms, the answer depends on who you ask. The conservative definition that faith is the body of dogma of a religion with a secure belief in God and a trusting acceptance of God's will, or a belief that does not rest on logical proof or material evidence, obviously does not work with religious liberals. Indeed, so far is faith from being a concept with which a Unitarian Universalist could agree, as if those were the only definition, we would not be able to use the word at all. Luckily, there is a more liberal definition. Faith is a confident belief in the truth, value, or trustworthiness of a person, an idea, or a thing. Or faith is a set of principles or beliefs. For us, as Unitarian Universalists, faith is not set in stone or handed down by God or any higher authority, never to be questioned and unable to be tested by logic and reason and experience. In fact, we can't even imagine such a faith. For us religious liberals, faith must always be changing, growing, interactive, energetic, active. In short, to us, faith is a verb. This dynamic view of faith means that our faith must change and adapt just as we do, as time changes, as new information develops, as we interact with others. As one of our hymns has it, new occasions teach new duties. Our reading this morning by educational consultant Charles Piazza uses the made-up word faithing as a way of expressing this on-the-move religious faith, always in need of renovation, remodeling, and updating. Piazza sees the movements of a growing faith as a series of spirals or even corkscrews as we move from asking questions and expressing doubts to gathering new information and exploring various viewpoints, to making decisions, discerning what we agree with and what we don't, what we find valuable and what we have to discard. Having made our choices, we move toward putting our beliefs into action in our lives, in the world, allowing our newly gained perspectives to shape and reshape our behavior. As we act in society, inevitably we find again and again that new questions and new doubts arise. So we go round the circle once more. And at all points of the process, we incorporate spiritual practices of meditation, reflection, journaling, or prayer, as well as celebratory acts of worship and ritual to mark the passages of the adult faith journey. Now, although Piazza is a Roman Catholic, the process he describes accords well with our liberal tradition. The third principle of Unitarian Universalism is acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Encouraging spiritual growth is an important part of our commitment and our covenant with each other as Unitarian Universalist members of a congregation. If you put it another way, Piazza says that one of the key tasks of adult religious growth is to aid people in discovering and taking responsibility for their own unique spiritual journey. And so we see for religious liberals, faith is a journey, a process, an ongoing cycle that has no end. As long as we are alive, we can never say that we are finished with faith, that we know all there is to know, that we understand everything there is to understand. There is always another bend in the river. Another important point of our shared faith journey is learning to take into account all the different worlds and perspectives that make up our congregation. Leaders of a church can sometimes feel overwhelmed by complex responsibilities and underwhelmed by a lack of authority. Leaders in a church can be torn in two directions. One way by leaders, other leaders in the congregation, and in another direction by members of the church, and sometimes feel that they can satisfy neither one. Regular members can sometimes feel invisible and at risk. Newcomers to a church can often feel neglected, not getting the attention or the programs that they feel that they need and want. If we learn to see each other's different perspectives, that can help us stop imagining each other's motivations. And together, we can build stronger and deeper community. Our congregation, like any institution or any group, even a family, is a system. And any system is healthier when several seemingly contradictory elements are present. Individuation, differentiation, and integration. Oftentimes, conservative religious groups insist on unity, on being similar members of a we, and crack down hard on people who move out of the safe we. The liberal emphasis on individuation says that we truly value the inherent worth and dignity of every person, that we believe that each and every person has something unique to bring to the table of community. As each person risks expressing their precious uniqueness, the community becomes more differentiated. Differences come to the forefront instead of being hidden behind a facade of togetherness and a don't rock the boat attitude. Multiple strategies for problem solving and challenge facing can arise. And as a congregational system becomes both more individuated and more differentiated, the need for community building becomes more apparent. So we come together, we talk, we share our experiences, we comfort and encourage one another. And at our best, we are unthreatened and even strengthened by our diversity. Now, the movement within a system from individuation to integration and back to individuation is another circular movement, another winding journey. Another unending cycle, much like the spiral of adult faith. The liberal religious community, like the liberal religious individual, can never be satisfied simply with the status quo, must always be energetically moving and flowing and changing. Is this the easiest and most comfortable way to be a religious person? No. But if all you wanted from religion was ease and comfort, you sure wouldn't be Zooming with us here this morning. Unitarian Universalism can be described in many words, but easy and comfortable ain't among them. If you wanted your faith to be a nice, safe, chiseled in stone noun, you wouldn't be here. If you wanted a status quo handed down from on high by God that could never be questioned, you wouldn't be here. The fact that you are here has to mean that in some sense, at least, you are a seeker, a sojourner, a person on a religious journey, a person who wants to live out a dynamic, living, growing, uncomfortably changing religious faith. Our church is changing. There is no denying that. The worldwide pandemic has changed many things about our lives, and among those things is our church. Unitarian Universalism is changing. There is no denying that. Theologies and rituals that were unheard of and perhaps even unthinkable a decade or two ago are more and more commonplace. We're talking about white supremacy in almost every congregation now, something that was unthinkable only a decade ago when a lot of white Unitarian Universalists were saying anti-racism made them uncomfortable. We're in a changing world, and we have to change too. Although we are at times a bit confused, a little bit at sea, few of us truly want our religious faith to return to the days when we could say that we all shared one theological position, and when it seemed that everybody in Unitarian Universalism agreed that God was dead or irrelevant. We have choices. We can choose to mistrust changes that are basically already here, or we can choose to enter the stream, to embrace the flow, to be more comfortable with being uncomfortable. We could choose to close ourselves off, believing it to be a safer, saner choice, or we could risk by being open, believing that we will gain much more than we lose. We can choose to build a more inclusive, more open, dynamic community of liberal faith, using all the tools at our disposal, and maybe even some tools that haven't even been invented yet. We want to gamble on being the best we can be and learning to grow and change. Let us choose faithing rather than a static faith. The choices are ours. May we make the right ones. Amen, Ashe, Shalom, salam, namaste, blessed be.